Hi everyone, my name is Busari Abiodun. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be discussing about shorthand writing, and this is my first video on shorthand writing where I will be focusing on Pithmand Shorthand. So in this video, I will be discussing about the meaning of shorthand, the consonant and vowel sounds that we have in Pithmand Shorthand, the 24 consonants that we have in Pithmand Shorthand, and the short forms. What is short forms? And what are the short forms we have under each of these consonants? And also, we will be looking at what phrasing is in shorthand. So let's get started. What is shorthand? Shorthand is the representation of spoken words in English with strokes, curves, and dashes. So these strokes we are talking about can be a downward stroke. If you are talking about downward stroke, that means we draw from up down to the line. So like this. Or it may be an upward stroke, that is, the drilling will start from the line upward. Or it can be curve. Also, the curve is also a downward curve, just like this. So these strokes and dashes we are talking about in Pithmand Shorthand can be a light strokes or an heavy strokes. Let's look at it. The first one at the top is the light stroke. The second one, which is under it, is what? Heavy stroke. The only difference is that the first one has a lighter lines, while the second has a thicker line. So that's what differentiates between the light strokes and heavy strokes. So now let's go into what Pithmand Shorthand is. Pithmand Shorthand is made up of 24 consonant sounds, 12 vowels, and 4 diphthongs. So we will be starting with the consonants. So the 24 consonant sounds. So the 24 consonant sounds in Pithmand Shorthand, for better understanding, can further be split into 6, 8, and 2. If we add everything together, 6 plus 8 plus 8 plus 2 is going to give us 24. Those are the 24 the breakdown of the 24 consonant sound you are having in Pithmand Shorthand. So we will be taking these consonants accordingly. So that means we will be taking the first 6 consonants. So most of these consonants are paired based on the closeness in their pronunciation. Just like I said, we will take the first 6 consonants, but by the time we get there, you understand what I mean better. The first 6 consonants. The first 6 consonants are consonant P, B, T, D, J, and J. So those are the first 6 consonants that we have in Pithmand Shorthand, and they are represented by downward strokes. And these consonants, they are paired based on the closeness in the vocal organ, that is, the closeness in their pronunciation. So how are they paired? Consonant P and B are paired together, consonant T and D are paired together, and consonant J and J are paired together. So let's look at the drilling. We are taking consonant P and B. So what is the drilling? So consonant P is a light left bend downward stroke, while consonant B is a heavy left bend downward stroke. That means the drilling is the same thing. The only difference between the consonant P and B is that consonant P is lighter, while the consonant B is heavy and drilling. So let's look at how they looks like. So consonant P, we have consonant B, which means we are talking about consonant P. It's a downward stroke, which is a lighter. P, P, P. So now let's look at consonant B. It's also the same thing with the P, but the difference is that the consonant B is heavier than that of the P. So let's look at it. It's also a downward stroke. We have consonant B, B, B. So that is it about the consonant P and B. Now let's take the next consonant, which is T and D. If you are talking about consonant T, is a light straight downward stroke, while consonant D is an heavy straight downward stroke, which means if you are talking about consonant T and D, they are both a straight downward stroke, but the consonant T is light while the consonant D is heavy. Let's look at it. That is from up down. That's T, a straight line. T, 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 T. That is downward stroke, which is a straight line. So if you are talking about D, it's also the same thing, but the consonant D will be what? Will be heavier than that of the T. So let's look at it. We have consonant D, 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 D. If you look at it, the only difference between the two is that consonant T is light while consonant D is heavy. So that is it about the consonant T and D. So the last one is consonant Ch and J. So the consonant Ch and J, consonant Ch is a light left bend downward stripe, while consonant J is an heavy right bend downward stroke, which means instead of consonant P that is bent to the left, consonant Ch bent to the right. Let's look at the two, Ch and J. So it's also a downward stroke, Ch. Let's look at it. That is to the other side, Ch, Ch, Ch. So consonant J, in case of the J, is an heavy. It's also the same thing, but heavy in drilling. So we have J, 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 J. So that is it about the consonant. We have the Ch, which is a light stroke. We have the J, which is an heavy stroke. So that's all about the first six consonants in summary. So in summary, the first group of six consonants, just like I said, includes consonant P, B, T, D, Ch, and J. So, and in the drilling, consonant P is a downward stroke, just like we say P. Consonant B is heavy downward stroke, B, B. While we have consonant T, which is a straight, light downward stroke, we have T, T, T. Consonant D is an heavy straight downward stroke, D, D, D. We have Ch, which is a what? The right bend light downward stroke. We have Ch, 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 and we have J, which is what? An heavy downward stroke. That is the right bend downward stroke as J, J, J. So that's all about Pithmand Shorthand. Now we are talking about the short forms. So short form is the use of single sign to represent a frequently used word in English language. For example, a, and, it, was, do. So we have short form for them. So the short form under the first section are B. What is the short form for B? Consonant B is used to represent B in shorthand, that is downward stroke. We have B, which is heavy. That's for short form for B. So if you are talking about it, the consonant T, when it stands alone, it represents it in shorthand, that is it. So the same thing happens with the word do. So the consonant that stands for D when standing alone is consonant D, which means a downward D. When we have D standing alone, that means it is the short form for do. So we have which is Ch, that is downward Ch. So that represents which means be, it, do, which. So all those consonants are short forms for those words. So other one we have is to. So if you are talking about to, so we have the short P, that is very short one. So standing on the line, that stands for to. So we have two or two. So in case of this one, it's an heavy short P, heavy one, just like B, but short one. So when we see something like that, it stands for two, T-W-O or two, T-W-O, two. We have U, which is short, which bend to the other side, that is the downward short, as if we want to draw J. So short one, so that stands for U. When we see something like that standing alone, it stands for the word U. And we have D in shorthand. D is represented by dot on the line. So that is small dot on the line. When we see that, that's D. But when we have D standing above the line, that is in the middle of the line, so that stands for A or An, just like this one. That's A or An, either of the two. So it depends on the way the sentence is being written. So lastly, we'll be talking about phrasing. If you are talking about phrasing in shorthand is the journey of two or more words without lifting the pen. That means, for example, to be. If you remember, we said to, which is short form. When we roll the to without lifting the pen, B. If you remember, the short form for B is what? B, which means we proceed down to write the B. That's to be. The next one, do, D. If you remember, the short form for do is what? D. But in the case of when we have D, if you remember, we said D is dot. But when D is being added to a word, we only add an angle to that word to indicate D. That's how it is in shorthand. So like this one now, let's write the D for do. We have do. Without lifting the pen, you now add an angle. That angle will represent D, like this one. So which means do, D. D for do. And a small angle, we stand for D. To, D. The same thing happen. We know to, a short P on the line. To, so D, just like I said, we will now add an angle to it to indicate D. So in this case, the angle will be like this. So as if you wrote a small greater sign. So that is to D in shorthand. Which D, which under the short form, we said che stand for which. So if we write which without lifting the pen, then we add a small angle to it to include D, which is which D in shorthand. So that is it about phrasing, and that is all about phrasing under the first 6 consonants that I've explained earlier. If you remember, I started with the meaning of shorthand, which I said is the representation of spoken words in English with strokes and dashes. And then I move on to Pithmand Shorthand, where I said in Pithmand Shorthand is made up of 24 consonant sounds, 12 vowels, and 4 diphthongs. And I also further that the 24 consonant sounds we are talking about can be further be split into 6, 8, 8, 2. And we consider the first 6 consonants, which are consonant P, B, T, D, Ch, and J. And I also proceeded to what we call short form, which I said is the use of sign to represent most commonly used words in shorthand. We always take some short words like the word D, and, do, be, a, or an, and so on. Finally, before I ended it up at phrasing, which I said phrasing is the journey of 2 or more words in shorthand without lifting a pen. And that's all about my first video under the shorthand writing, that is the Pithmand Shorthand. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with others. Until the